So we were talking about when to do a bleeding procedure and when not. And we were saying that we were talking about ear apex being a very valuable point for taking out excess heat in excess conditions that are hot. And similarly, all the other bleeding points that we were talking about apply to folks who are in an excess condition. They have a hot problem. So someone who's very deficient, cold, weak, run down, we wouldn't do too much bleeding procedure on them. We'd do more like tonification. And tonification is like when we were looking at the yin and yang, there's a certain base level of function for the body where the yin and yang comparatively are at the same level. If the yang is lower, it seems like their body is colder, but it's not because the yin has gone into excess. It's because the yang has gone lower from the body's natural baseline level. And we want to tonify that back up. We want to increase that back up. So we give warming points, tonification points, like Lum 9 we met, a good tonification point. Lum 9 is one of the most strongest tonification points we met so far. And classic, the biggest tonifier is stomach 36. We'll meet that in a little while. Next meridian. Preview of things to come. But we want to use those points, and for the minimum time, we don't go much more than 30 minutes for a tonification. We don't leave the needles in too long. We don't use too many needles. Just the right amount. And so that yang comes back up. We can also use ginseng, huang qi, dang gui, warming, stimulating, nourishing herbs, along with improving the digestion with bai zhu and fu ling, and build up that yang again, so they have the proper balance going on in their body. Totally open to question.
Okay. See, so lungs lead to large intestine. Large intestine goes down to stomach, connected to that meridian line. Just a moment ago, you were mentioning, I think I was noticing that the large intestine had qualities of lung, had qualities of stomach, I believe, too, if I,
Yeah, because it connects both those meridians.
Actually, I did notice the large intestines had a lot of different, I would think it would be majority stomach problems, like, indigestion and stuff like that. I didn't see that too
So much
often.
with large intestine.
What was that?
You're saying, say again?
I did not see too many digestion problems. I saw more fever,
Right.
like, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, large intestine, it works more with the lungs. Oddly enough. And then stomach, there's also not so much digestion as spleen, the yin
Oh, okay.
organ that stomach is paired with. We affect more with the digestion, with the spleen, also with stomach, meridian.
Those two go together.
Yeah. Stomach and spleen, yin and yang, paired organs. But then also gallbladder and liver affects digestion as well. Many times people have too much stress, so liver qi stagnation. Then the liver qi stagnation is an excess condition that can attack or disinhibit different organ systems. So liver qi attacks the spleen is like slow digestion, dampness, diarrhea, because they're stressed all the time. If you're in the fight and flight stress, then you're not able to just pause, digest. There's like the different autonomic nervous system of the body, with the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Everyone's in the sympathetic fight or flight mode in this kind of controlled way. That's stress. It's not overtly fight or flight, it's just like kind of like almost fight or flight all the time. Very damaging for the liver qi and the kidneys long term. So we're always helping people de-stress. I mean, that's like the one thing. We always provide a relaxed environment. We give people that time. It's like they can't help but just take that time for themselves and relax. And the relaxation goes with them, throughout the week, and it's a big part of the treatment. And you have the permission to relax really deeply, during an acupuncture treatment. It's going to be unavoidable. And there's so much more that we can put onto it, that we add to that experience. But that's like the cornerstone, is like liver qi gets a chance to unwind, and the kidneys get supported, and digestion improves. And the digestion provides the building blocks for the reconstruction of the whole body. The body's always making and remaking itself from the physical energy it can get from the food. So improving the digestion, and then the whole health improves. That's one of the big take-home messages, from Chinese medicine. Why Chinese are so focused on cooking. And the westernized American version of Chinese food is much different from, authentic Chinese food. But the Chinese are so into cooking. There's these restaurants in Beijing, different places, big cities, that are medicinal restaurants. And they have all these dishes, different things that they prepare for a particular condition. Come in, the waiter takes their pulse. Instead of takes their order.
Yeah.
No, usually they'll come in and they know their condition. They've been to a doc. And they'll say, I gotta, take some damp out, take some heat out. And so they'll make the soup with bitter melon. And bitter is like a taste that we never want in our food. We never like, oh yeah, okay, chocolate we can have, it's a little bit bitter, coffee's a little bit bitter, but we dump all the sugar in, all the milk in to mask it. Beer is a little bitter, we endure it. But like having like a regular main course with something bitter in it, you never go there. But bitter is heat clearing. It has this very medicinal quality on the body, which is why they say sometimes food tastes that aren't pleasing to the palate could actually be good for the body. And words that sound kind of hard on the ego, on the ear first, could be good for your soul. Good for your heart sometimes to hear some hard words of correction, criticism, constructive criticism. It's hard to hear, but it's actually good. And then sometimes the taste, wouldn't want that in my main course, but it turns out it's actually what my body needs. Okay, now we're really ranting on and on.
No. Ooh, I did have a question. You had said something about this, the liver chi is overflowing into the spleen. Is that now? Is that in sequence? Does that go? And is that similar to that map you were showing me? Does that, with the things overflowing into the different places,
Right.
Does that go along with?
Good question. Excellent question. And like any good, excellent question in Chinese medicine, it opens up a whole kettle of fish, which is called the 5 elements. We talked about the yin and the yang. And the different types of qi, but there's a way of expanding the understanding of the yin and the yang to include the elements. And if we were looking just at the yin and the yang, the most yin part of the Tai Chi would be water, and the most yang would be fire. But somehow throughout the year, the revolution around the sun, because of the tilt of the Earth's axis on its trajectory, we have the seasons. And the seasons in Chinese medicine is the way, the bit by bit way to get from the yin and the yang. So we have the water as the lowest. Water produces wood. As we see in our natural surrounding, when there's water, then things can grow, and the tree grows and grows and grows, eventually adding rings every year and has wood. Wood we can burn and it becomes fire. So from wood comes fire. Water is winter, coolest part of the year. Wood is the springtime, where everything is growing and expanding and green. Fire is the summer, the most expansive, the most active. They say from fire we get ash and then earth. Like the solidity of the leftover of fire is earth. Earth is the like Indian summer, like the long part of the end of summer. If you go into earth, you dig in the earth, you can get metal. Metal is the fall season energy. Then, if we use pipes, metal pipes, we can conduct water. We can also use the well, dig with the metal down to get the water. So they go around and around. They create one another. They generate one another. And this is the big deal about what's different between Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine. Ayurvedic is very much like built on the chakras and this idea of ascension. There's a bit like that. There's some ascension in the Taoist philosophy, but more it's like these five emerge and they create each other equally. The circulation is the basis for the Taoism and the Chinese medicine. Not so much ascension, like the chakras build one on top of the other and you get better the further you go up. It's more earthy in that way. It's just like these five create one another and they continually create one another. So the trick is, if they just kept generating one another, they would over-generate. Each one making the next, they would all just keep overproducing and there wouldn't be any dynamic tension to it. So, within that, there's the controlling. And we'll show this. I don't know if it'll refocus.
You could go a little
closer?
Mm-hmm. Closer.
And we can put in like overlays. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's ways that, for instance, there's a controlling cycle. Where Earth controls water. Like you can build a dam, you can make a channel, and conduct the water. Water obviously controls fire. In a completely destructive way. You know, if you have a fire problem, you put water on it. It's not going to be a problem. Fire controls metal. With fire we can smelt metal and make it to our uses. Metal controls wood. The way we can get at the tree is chopping it. Wood controls earth. To stop a landslide, you need trees growing on it. You need greenery growing on it. The greenery fixes the ground, holds it into place. So each of the elements, they generate each other and they also dynamically control one another from the inside, going across there's the generative cycle. Yeah, I'm doing it from your point of view. The generative cycle, and then there's control cycle that makes like the pentagram in it. So powerful, so ancient a design. Then there's the insulting cycle. Control cycle is how it goes naturally. Then if there's a problem of balance of the elements, and the one that usually controls gets pushed back, then you have insulting, they say. And it goes off kilter that way too. You can over-generate, you can over-control. It has to be a control at the proper amount. And it can also have an insult problem, where the control is going in the wrong direction. is ways that we understand the 5 elements. And then, of course, the 5 elements correspond to so many different functions. For instance, different organs are classified into the different elements. Different colors, sense organs correspond to the different elements. Different smells and tastes correspond to the different elements. Different emotions or bodily functions are correlated with different planets, go with the different elements. It's all pervasive. Similar how yin and yang is this way of understanding the whole cosmos. The 5 elements starts to become all-encompassing way of looking at things. And people, you get, oh, this is a metal person. I can tell by their voice, how they hold themselves, what their body type is. This is a fire person, they have this different kind of personality. So different, and there's different combinations and constitutions. And we'll give you a test, there's a little exam you can do. See which type of element is your predominant. Really important is like the flavor, because that's what we'll meet in the herbs. The wood is sour or acidic. Fire is bitter or sharp. Earth like sweet. Sweet flavor helps the earth. Metal is pungent and spicy. Water element likes salty. And then wood is like cheesy, goatish smell. Fire smells burnt. Earth is fragrant. Metal is kind of like rotten. Fish rotten. And water is putrid rotten. Smells. Wood, anger or jealousy is the emotion problem. Fire, joy. Earth, overthinking or anxiety. Metal is more like worry or sorrow, sadness. Water, fear and depression affects water.
Can you repeat those?
Anger or jealousy is the wood problem. Joy or excess joy, too much joy, is heart. Anxiety or pensiveness or overthinking is the earth problem, or excessive desire. Sorrow and worry, grief, metal problem. Fear and depression is the water problem. And then the color, wood, green, color of spring. Red is fire, yellow is earth. White is metal, black or deep blue is water. They go on and on of like coordinating into the elements. But those are really important in the sound in emotion. Shouting is wood. Laughing, talkative, loose with the words, fire. Singing is earth. Weeping, crying is the metal sound. And groaning and complaining is the water. Different emotional types correspond to the organs. Organs, functions, and the elements, the 5 elements. 5 elements is this whole other, oh no, it's not a T. Anyway. It's my 5th one, which isn't a T.
Mm-hmm.
It's included in TCM, but some folks develop the 5 elements even to their own height. It's amazing. 5 elements becomes its own style of treatment, most suitable for mental emotional problems. Treating mental emotional problems with Chinese medicine is most easily accomplished through 5 elements style of treatment. More on this to follow. It's just opening up more kettles of fish.
Sweet. I like, learning all the new avenues.
Yep, they're all going to fit. You want to, let's see, do we actually...